Disclaimer, this video is an analysis, so buckle up. Visual storytelling has existed since the beginning of time. It's something that, much like art, has evolved and branched into different forms of itself. Visual storytelling is so fundamental to storytelling, I bet that at the beginning of time, their own version of visual storytelling was a good game of charades. Nowadays, we have comics, movies, painted art, I mean, you name it. All these different mediums have the potential to express a spoken story with no words. Despite that, it's rare to see obvious examples of purely visual stories nowadays. So what I'm gonna be talking about will be something a little more specific. If you've ever watched a Studio Ghibli film, I'm sure you know about the immense detail put into every frame. And if you haven't seen one of their movies, just take a look at Howl's Moving Castle. For the first couple minutes of Howl's Moving Castle, there's no words, just a pure flex of their animation and a showcase of the city town. We see a beautiful city vibrant with life, a city that has flying machines and tricky mechanisms to operate the way it does. Very reminiscent of a world people in the 1700s might have thought 2025 would look like. And sometimes it's just sad to think how wrong they were. Studio Ghibli movies are so carefully made that each time you pause the screen, there's 1,000 stories worth of content happening. Each frame is a work of art on its own, but it's the fact that each of these thousands of stories are molded together to imply background context that makes this a great example of visual storytelling. If you've made it this far and you still don't have a clue about what visual storytelling even is, it's pretty simple. It's the ability to tell a story through the audience's mind. It's the story the creator helps imply without actually saying. You could use it to imply feelings, to imply world settings, and in Studio Ghibli's case, to give the audience so much detail, you keep them guessing. Despite it being so common in storytelling nowadays, I love it so much because its potential is limitless. There are many great examples of visual storytelling, but my favorite by far is when it's used in grand cinematic peaks. In the popular anime Frieren Beyond Journey's End, there are some of the best visual storytelling cinematics I've seen in a long time. One of my favorite moments of that whole first season is shown as early as episode 2, and yes, it's that good that early on. If you're worried about spoilers, skip to the number I put on the screen, but what I'm gonna be talking about isn't really plot relevant. Alright, moving on. The second half of episode 2 focuses on Frieren finding a species of flower that was thought to be extinct. This is because she wants to make a flower bed in front of a statue commemorating one of her passed on friends. So she goes searching after hearing rumors that it may be in a certain forest. But after months of searching, she still isn't successful. At this point, the watcher is probably questioning, why does Frieren still need this flower? And to be totally honest, I thought that as well. Her companion complains to her because it's been months and even offers flower seeds that supposedly resemble the specific flower Frieren wants. This is where the scene begins. In a quick moment, a squirrel takes the bag of seeds and they begin following it. What really stuck out to me was that the scene is quiet. It displays an interesting fact about the anime as a whole. Events that could be spoken and explained are instead just shown. After following the squirrel, it led them to a tower which held the flower Frieren was actually looking for. And after we see it, it's understood why it was so important to her. It's a payoff so good. Some tears may have been shed in my first watching of it. Despite that lack of genuine explanation as to why she needed it, seeing how it made her feel felt like enough. By just seeing how beautiful the flowers actually were and how deeply content Frieren was, the viewer is satisfied. Simply said, visually, we understood. Frieren Beyond Journey's End is an anime that allows for amazing visual storytelling, not only because of its great production, although that's a major part of it, but also because Frieren as a character is very reserved. She barely talks and mostly just acts, and when she does talk, it usually differs from how she actually feels, making her actions more valuable to the watcher. Furthermore, when visual storytelling is done right, it can be considered a form of art. Of course, this doesn't discount from the other factors that need to be there to make the scene work, but pure visuals add a certain pizzazz that can't be done otherwise. Like I mentioned earlier, visual storytelling is a basic function that is seen in almost every piece of media nowadays, but that doesn't mean it's always done to its best ability. The reason I consider it an art is because when it's used at its maximum potential, it's pretty self-explanatory. In contrast, when it's done at its worst, it has the reverse effect. To deepen my understanding of visual storytelling, I want to create a scene that exemplifies it. As an aspiring artist, visual storytelling is one of the most important skills to have. And in contrast to my last work of art, I want to make a scene that just brings you a sense of wow when looking at it. There are many sources to seek inspiration from, and in my own case, I love testing that bridge between stylism and realism. A perfect example to represent this idea is the video game Nier Automata. Though quite old at this point, 2017 was almost 10 years ago, the environmental art in and out of the game truly brings you that sense of wow I spoke about before. In Nier Automata, Yoko Taro, the game's director, was able to help make a world that doesn't overwhelm the player. Despite the chaotic nature of the story, the openness of the world can create tranquil moments where you just admire the ruined city. It's a game that mixes realism and stylism quite well. The anime style of each character blends incredibly well with the realistic landscapes of the in-game world. Altogether, it's just a great game. While I'm not making an extravagant scene like the art in that game, I do want to draw in enough detail that could allow for a visual understanding of what's going on. This scene is specifically meant to display a moment of tension between this demon named Aura and Frieren. I'd say it's a good example of showing and not telling, along with the fact that it's a drawing and they can't talk, but also because I'm not even showing the opposition that's making her do this face. Being able to create this game of who, what, and where is so fun to me. By seeing Aura the demon, you can assume what anime this is referencing. By having the staff pointed at her face, it tells you who the one pointing it is. While at this point in the recording, I'm not sure where I want to set this, but I guess you could say it takes place in the world of Frieren, but that might be a cop-out. Moving on, the last example of excellent visual storytelling I really wanted to show comes from Berserk. Berserk at this point is renowned for many things: its art, the controversy of the story, and its artist. Rest in peace, Kentaro Miura. Because I really want to give Berserk its own video, I won't go into too much specifics about its premise or plot as a whole. Instead, let's look at what Kentaro Miura is able to do on paper. The way he's able to masterfully convey emotion and literary shock with little to no words said is unreal. For a manga made in the 90s, he was way ahead of his time. To add to his credibility in storytelling, apparently Miura's father was a professional storyboard creator for an ad company back when Miura was a kid. So being able to see what worked and what didn't firsthand must have been a valuable experience for what Miura would eventually create. And if you don't even know what a storyboarder is, to put it simply, they're an important building block to visual storytelling as a whole. They create rough ideas of how to convey any given scene, and while it's commonly known for being used in animation, as you heard before, it could also be done in real life videos. Despite Berserk being a manga, its story is extremely dense. Fortunately, it's thanks to Miura's restraint that the cinematic scenes he created come across so well. Not to call anyone out, but as of recently, a manga like Hunter x Hunter has so much words per chapter that sometimes it just feels like reading a novel. That balance of info dumping and silent interaction is what can help give a visual story the same impression that Berserk gives off to the reader. After everything's said and done, visual storytelling is a vital skill when it comes to portraying a story to its fullest extent. While it's not needed in every interpretation of a story, especially to the extent that I mentioned in this video, it can create a type of cinematic that I love. Alright, now that I'm done, what do you think? I'm no genius artist, but I worked pretty dang hard on this. Was I able to create a scene that reads well? Where did I go wrong, or what did I do right? Let me know down below. I would deeply appreciate it if you decide to bless this video with a like. And well, that's all I got for this video. So I'm Drawadrew, and I'm Drawa. Oh, you're still here? Look at these Frieren covers. Bro, why did people make these?